Hello, welcome to the 24th episode of my podcast, Open Conversations. I'm your host, Young Bellis Bilbo, and it's been a little, been some time away, and happy to be back. Today we're going to talk about some NBA hoops. Obviously, the season's approaching, and so, obviously, I'm going to give my takes on some certain topics, coming into the season, and so, just want to get right into it. Just get my thoughts on Dame Lillard and Drew Holiday trade. Very, 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 very blockbuster. Probably the biggest deal, throughout the off season. Um, Very, very, very big deal. You know what I'm saying? You got two All-Star caliber players, you know, going to contending teams. Drew going to Boston Celtics. Giannis going to I say Giannis. Dame going to Milwaukee to join Giannis, and so you know, these are two major very very good players. I would say obviously Drew's an all star caliber guy, type of level player, but I do think Dame's just um, a couple notches, you higher than Drew, um, in terms of caliber, and so for me, I think this really makes they were already you know one of they were number one seed in the East last year with Drew. Obviously the injuries down the stretch really affected their run in the playoffs. With Giannis, Chris Middleton not necessarily being healthy throughout the season. Um, so that kind of had a big impact on their level of play throughout the season, or not even the season, throughout the playoffs. But you add a guy like Dame, um, like I said, you know, a higher caliber player in my opinion than Drew. And if Chris Middleton is able to be healthy and Giannis is healthy, you're talking about likely favorites coming out the East and potentially winning the whole thing. So if considering health, so I think a major thing with me when it comes to these guys, is health. Um, you got obviously Drew going to Boston, and you know get yeah, he's going to another contender, all star, caliber type guy. Um, Drew going to Boston, and these are contenders as well. Boston going to the Eastern Conference Finals last year was against Miami. You know, you know, were prohibitive, favorites coming in to that series, and you know, they too upgraded in terms of the point guard position, and from going from Smart to Holiday, and so I think obviously Smart's a great defender. Drew's a great defender, but I think Drew is a better offensive player, and so the offensive arsenal that Drew Holiday is going to bring, I think, is really very very pivotal for them. I think, and it's going to help them a lot. What Drew can do offensively, because he can, have a 20-30 point game, type of thing, and so that's going to be very needed for them. But very pivotal. These are game-changing guys that's gonna, be very impactful for their new teams. It's gonna be very interesting to see, how these guys perform this season and their teams. And so I'm looking forward to that. What to expect from Jordan Poole this season. Um, obviously last year, averaging 20 points a game, being the third or fourth option for Golden State, um, depending on a given night when Steph was out, for whatever reason, Poole averaged around 26 a game. And so he showed even on that Warriors team he could be, your potentially, go-to guy from a, scoring standpoint. Um, I think, being here, where he's at with Washington, being probably for the most part, the primary go-to guy in terms of scoring, if not the second option, depending on certain nights where maybe Kyle Kuzma has it going and he's hot. He's gonna, be getting most of the shots. Um, they said something about he averaged like 14, 15 shots a game last year with Golden State. I'm expecting 20 to 25 with Washington Wizards. So, that's like, I'm expecting him to average between 25 to 30. 25 to 30, maybe about, 5 or 6 assists or something, 4 or 5 rebounds. I think that's going to be his stat line. I think he has a very, very impressive stat line level type year. Likely for a very, very good chance him making his first All-Star game in the East. And so, you know, you know, it's going to be the Jordan Poole show for sure. He's going to be putting on a show. Kuzma's going to be along with him as putting up buckets. It's good seeing these guys. These guys were guys who came from championship pedigree level teams, and now to see them in a new market where they're being able to kind of get their you know showcase what they can do, have bigger roles and responsibilities on the team, seeing how they perform, like that's going to be a major thing. So I'm looking forward to seeing Kuz and Jordan Poole and these guys play, and seeing the elevation in Jordan Poole's game. He's going to be able to play with the freedom that he was you know last year with the Warriors. What he wish he had, and so he's going to be able to have that now playing for the Wizards. So yeah. Chet Holmgren versus Victor Wembenyama. They had a preseason game a couple nights ago. Very good. Both of them played very well. Scored about 20 points in the game each. I think Victor had 20. Chet had about 21. Um, they showed their offensive arsenal as big guys on the floor. They're kind of part of this, um, in my opinion, this new wave NBA, which their style of game is a lineage that stems from Kevin Durant. I think you know, you know, every so often, and when you talking about the NBA and the game evolving, you have certain type of guys who are like one of ones, and then there's like a influx of guys who are in their similar type of play of game. And so, Chet Holmgrens, the Victor Wembanyama's, these guys I think fall under that Kevin Durant type of style of play and things of that nature. So, and then, but they have their own game. They're gonna, obviously pave their own lane as who they are and stuff. But in terms of their style of play, being, your lanky, tall guys who can score the basketball, all around the court. Um, to me, that's huge. Um, uh, it gives them, a very, very big advantage in the game. You know what I'm saying? But both guys really showed, that they could play. In my opinion, they got bright futures. Um, Chet's probably is gonna be, they're gonna groom him to be the second kind of option for that OKC team, likely, if I'm, just my perspective. So and then obviously with the Spurs, they're gonna have Victor be the primary guy over there. And so it's gonna be interesting to see how these guys, you know, go out throughout their careers, and the players that they end up to be. Um, Both of them, have very, very bright, promising futures, and I'm just looking forward to seeing them play for a long time. You know, so yeah. Where did James Harden end up? You know, I think we've seen, obviously the reports of them having some issues um, between James and management, and the trust, and him saying publicly that uh, James Morey, I believe that's his name, was a liar, whatever the case may be. Um, these type of things are tough, things to be able to adjust, and continue having relationships with when that's the case of the situation. Um, I think that James, obviously he's had a history of forcing his way out. This doesn't necessarily make him look, quote unquote, that good. Being in a case where he's, forcing his way out for the third time. But he's, saying that they're lying and things of that nature, or whatever the case may be. And it's the situation's a bit unrepairable and stuff like that. So I think that when it comes to what the Sixers end up doing, I think they gotta trade them, get some pieces, some draft picks, some role players to fit around Embiid, and I think that could really help them in terms of what they do um, moving forward. James obviously is going to be somebody who wants to compete. There's been talks about him going to the Clippers. I don't really know. I don't think that's a good fit necessarily. I think I've been talks about him going back to Houston, and him wanting to be in a primary scorer and things of that nature. Um, that takes away from a lot of the younger guys and their reps. Um, so I mean, right now, in terms of fitting style for James in the NBA, I don't know too many spots that really will fit his mold and the way he likes to play ball. Um, but I think, if he wants to make it work, it can work. But he has definitely put himself in a tough predicament, tough situation. So, um, I think that the Sixers should trade him. I think it's best to trade him, get some pieces, figure out what you want to do moving forward. And yeah, I think that to me would make the most of sense, considering the predicament that they're in with James Harden. Um, and so yeah. Key off season additions and how they will impact their new team. So um, you know, you had some trades, obviously. Um, Chris Paul's now with the Warriors. Um, from what I've been, hearing and seeing, that he's gonna likely be, a starting point guard. Steph's gonna play off guard. Um, Likely, if that doesn't necessarily shape out, I'm sure that Chris Paul will end up being probably like your 6-man guy off the bench, or something like that. But I believe they're coming into the season with that kind of like Chris Paul at the 1, Steph at the 2 type of thing. Um, we're gonna have to see how that works. You know what I'm saying? It could work, um, and it may not. But they're vets; they should be able to figure it out. Um, you got one of the all-time great point guards is CP, and so it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be, it should be good basketball. I'm expecting greatness from these guys. They've been, these are guys that have been in, uh, deep in the playoffs, have that vet experience, so they should be able to, adjust and figure things out, as they go. But you know, it should work well for them. And then you got DeAndre Ayton, who went to the Trailblazers in that Dame Lillard trade. That's very key. I think that's a very good pickup for Portland. They got a young, good center, who you know should be very featured in the offense. Hopefully, for this year. They got some good young talent with, obviously you bring in a guy like DeAndre Layton or Ayton. You got a young, draft. You got like Scoot Henderson. You got Jeremy Grant. He's a vet. Obviously in the league, but still a young guy. You got I'm forgetting his name for whatever reason. The 2 guard that they have to that they drafted to replace CJ McCollum. But his name's still in my mind. But y'all know who I'm talking about. He's a great player, young guy, young stud for the Trailblazers. Um, so they got a young nucleus of guys, that are really good, and that they can, they got a future that they can work with. Um, then Grant Williams to Dallas. He's obviously role player, kind of guy, but he's a key addition. I think he's gonna go to Mavs and be very helpful. He was very helpful to the Celtics last year and their rotation, and I think he's gonna do the same with the Mavericks. I think he's gonna be very helpful for them. You got Dylan Brooks, who's with Houston now. He's gonna be an element for them, an added element. Whether it's toughness, defense. He can score the basketball. So Dylan, I think he's a good player. He I like the edge he plays with. Um, Maybe a bit he can go a little bit overboard, but you kind of need a little bit of that delusion, as if you want to be a championship, kind of guy. You're gonna have to play with that edge and delusion a bit. So I think that he's going to be very impactful for Houston. Um, and you have Victor. He's going there. He's going to OKC. Um, I'm just, people just continue to, in my opinion, kind of like count my guy Victor out a bit, and I think that, he rises to the occasion, all, each and every time. I think that's a big pickup for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, he should be starting for them. Um, should be, if not that, he should be heavy in the rotation. I think he can help them a lot with what they got, a young team. He's obviously a vet now. Um, so that should be, very helpful to him and I mean to OKC and what they got going on. So, Victor is definitely going to be is a good pickup for them. And then Brad Bill, another guy who was involved in the trade over the summer, um, going to Phoenix, all-star caliber guy. Definitely going to be very helpful to the Suns and, what they got going on with him, Booker, and KD. Um, he's going to be in a contending situation, something that he has not been for the most part in his career, and so it's going to be new to him, but it should be good for him. So it's going to be interesting to see that. And, Kristaps Porzingis going to Boston. You adding some size, some shooting. You got you have a championship squad with them. You know what I'm saying? You got Drew Holiday, you got Kristaps, Jaylen Brown, Tatum. I mean, this is a championship to me level type of team. So the addition of Kristaps, that's huge, in my opinion. Seeing what Tyus Jones does with the Wizards, I'm expecting him to play very well, a bigger role in terms of what he had in Memphis, going to Washington. Uh, that should be huge. Um, I think he's played well um, in Memphis. Debatably, like most would say, in my opinion, he was like the best backup point guard that was on the market last year. Him being in likely a starting role is going to be very, very pivotal and good for his career. So, that should be good. So, yeah. What to expect from year 21, LeBron? Man, I think it's going to be pretty much what we've seen for him throughout his career. Somewhere averaging between 25 to 30 points, um, 6 to 8 assists, 6 to 8 rebounds. I don't think there's going to be a drop off from that. I think that's going to be the stamp stats that he puts up this year. He's got a lot of rest from the off season, no injury, type of thing. So that's what I'm expecting from him. Um, coming in the year 21, and like I said, this is year 21. This is unheard of. From a guy playing the year 21, and he's putting up MVP caliber stats, and is debated still a top 10 guy in the league. Um, you know, you just have to be, in awe of his greatness and, his consistency and his level to be this great over the longevity of time that he's put in. So this is to me a major thing when it comes to LeBron and his career and what he's been able to accomplish, you know. And so, yeah. My preseason, my preseason top 5 teams come into the season. So I don't have any one in order. I'm just going, round off and give my analysis of the team. But I want to start off with the Warriors. I think that the addition of Chris Paul, veteran team that they are, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Wiggins, um, being obviously there's no drama currently within their locker room. They got everything, pretty much fresh locker room. Um, I'm expecting greatness from them. You know what I'm saying? Shouldn't be no, um, you know, without no injuries or anything. They should be one of the contending, high contending teams, top 3, 4 seeds in the West. But you know, with the championship pedigree, the veteran pedigree that they have, they're going to be very, effective in the playoffs, in my opinion. Then next, I'm going to say the Phoenix Suns. Um, the addition of Bradley Beal, obviously got the addition, late last season with KD, got Devin Booker, add guys like Eric Gordon, a Bobo, and some great Grayson Allen. You add in some, role player type of guys on the team to complement the the um the primary scorers on the team. Um, it's going to be a pretty good team. I still don't know exactly how they're going to do things in terms of facilitating their offense. Whether you're going to just have Devin Booker or Bradley Beal be the primary facilitators. I think obviously they can do that because they've shown that they can do that, but they're primarily snipers and scorers. So, my thing for them is going to be, what are you going to do when it gets late in the season? Like, what Bradley Beal, Booker, and KD are scorers by nature. Like they're scorers, and so when I look at that team, I don't see anybody on that team that can facilitate the offense and set up these guys so that they can score. So that's the question that I think for them they're gonna have to answer. But they have so much of a scoring power and juggernaut. I think they can be able to bypass a lot. But you know, like I said, coming into the playoffs, it's gonna be interesting what they do. Um, then next, I'm gonna have to say the Nuggets. Obviously the reigning champions. Nikola Jokic pretty much bringing back their roster from last year without Bruce Brown. Obviously he was a guy that was contributing. It was a contributing factor for that championship team. No doubt about that. But I think they're pretty much gonna expect Braun to kind of fill in those minutes and kind of have a bigger role for that team. Um, I think that this is they have more confidence. They have that championship taste in their mouth. So they're gonna come out and they're gonna be balling. They're gonna be doing their thing. So you're gonna expect the same thing from the Joker type stats. Then next, I'm gonna have to go with the Celtics. Like I said, you got Drew Holiday, Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum, Porzingis, um, as an addition as well. That's a very good core of guys that you would think can win a championship. When you have four guys, those are your four options. That's very good for a championship caliber team. So I think you gotta put the Celtics up there. This is a year that guys like a Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown have to make another step in terms of you know not necessarily scoring, but just being poised as leaders of their team and leading their team to victory. So I think um, that's going to be huge for those two guys. You add a guy like Drew, who has won a championship, who is a veteran. That should really help, that team a lot. And so then lastly, I'm gonna go with the Milwaukee Bucks. Obviously, with the addition of Dame Lillard on that Milwaukee Bucks team, uh, pairing with Giannis and Chris Middleton, this should be pretty dynamic in my opinion. These guys um, are Giannis and Dame are, in my opinion, cut from like a similar cloth and how they view the game, their approach to the game, and these are 1A 1B. Like I said, got Chris Middleton, uh, a great second option. Sometimes can be your first option because he's a great scorer. So they are going to be very um, competitive this year, and I'm expecting them to be amongst teams at the end of the year. So yeah, these top five teams I have coming into the season. My preseason MVP picks / candidates coming into the season. So first I'm gonna start with Shea. I think obviously he had a super studded year last year, had the league on notice. He still has the league on notice, and I think he's gonna put up those same level caliber stats, maybe a little better, maybe like a 1 or 2 points higher, some assists going up a little bit. But I ultimately think that the OKC Thunder is going to be win more games. They're going to, win more games. You add a guy like Chet. I think he's going to be that impactful for them. But Shea, I think he's going to really have a great year. He's really going to ball out and start the season really high. Next, Embiid, your reigning MVP. I think he's going to do his thing. Obviously, he's going to be in the contention. Uh, you know, James. Little do people know James did help Embiid last year. In terms of giving him easy baskets to score. Um, but I think Joel is still whether James is on the team or not. I think he's still gonna be of that MVP caliber level of player regardless. Um, Next, the Joker. Um, Obviously coming off a Finals MVP. I think he has he's already a two-time MVP of the regular season. He's going to be putting up, those same similar level stats, triple double, 20 plus points a game, that type of thing. Um, Likely going to be, a top three in the West type of thing in terms of the record. So you definitely, expect him to be one of the main candidates. And then Giannis, um, I'm expecting Giannis to really come and play with with a high level, as he always does, but just even an extra motor. You know, this next year is going to be a contract year for him, and he wants to obviously win a championship this year. So I'm expecting him to really really push and really have a great year. And I'm expecting that he comes out and dominates um, as he has been. And then lastly, I must have to go with Luca. Um, I think Luca, as he's always been having, great years. I think he, has a very, very, very great year. I think um, he'll be a guy that will be, I honestly think this may be his year to win it, depending on the record that the Mavericks have and how they're able to win or things of that nature. But I really think that Luca has really, really, really good year, really, really good year. And yeah, that's my expectation. Um, these are my candidates coming into the season, and obviously these things change throughout the year. So I'll always be obviously giving y'all an update on these type of things. And so yeah. So yeah, that's the end of the episode, man. Uh, Appreciate y'all for watching. Um, Glad to be back, giving y'all, my peace of mind and things of that nature on the teams that I think are, um, you know, topics and teams and players that I wanted to talk, I like to talk about, I want to talk about, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, man, looking forward to seeing y'all next time. Y'all have a good one. Yeah.